Welcome, my name is John Glanvill and this is video number 1 in my Calmness in Mind process, where we explore common sense techniques and perspectives that you can use on yourself to increase your emotional well-being that may complement and supplement any conventional medical advice and medication that you may be currently receiving. My goal is to encourage you to trust me enough to sign up for my course. And in this course, I will teach you how to transform into a calmer, more confident person who knows your true self and knows what you want from your life. The course comprehensively details my journey of overcoming anxiety, OCD, and depression, and my experience of working as a complex anxiety therapist for over 2 decades. It also teaches you new ways to see and interact with our stressful, ever-changing world so that you can experience more inner calmness despite the chaos that may be happening around you and in your outer world. My target audience are intelligent thinkers with complex personalities who seemingly have had their dominance, creativity, and extroverted nature suppressed during childhood and wish to retrain their brains from pessimism and doubt and fear into optimism, trust and courage, and perhaps need to reconnect with the confidence and playfulness that they lost or that they never learned during childhood. And though I'm a great therapist, I don't really like being in front of a camera, and I don't really know how to make videos or to edit them. So please bear with me as I learn how to capture and present all of my knowledge, experience and wisdom into this course. And creating this course will be my own form of ERP, exposure therapy, and it will force me to let go of my old OCD tendencies towards perfectionism, fear of failing, fear of being judged, and a fear of being rejected. I decided that I'm just going to create content by myself from my office, and whatever happens will be whatever happens. I'm just going to keep on making videos to see what will happen, regardless of the fact that my brain is telling me not to do this and my body is feeling very uncomfortable. But these days, I don't really care about that, as this is what I desire to do. And what kind of a therapist would I be if I weren't doing that which I advise other people to do? Okay, so let's get started. Throughout my younger life, I struggled hugely with shyness, anxiety, painful self-consciousness. I had a very restrictive OCD. I had a numbing depression, which often took the shape of the confusing bipolar format of toggling between feeling suicidal one week and then manically creative the next week. Despite this, after my teens, I learned how to function reasonably well. I had good jobs and people often saw me as calm, confident and competent. And mostly I could function well despite how my emotions were either overwhelming me or underwhelming me in any moment. And I learned how to cover up how I felt on the inside, or I found strategies to control situations so that my intrusive thoughts or my anxious feelings were minimized or kept in check. And during those years between the ages of 12 and 35, my mental health issues totally dominated my life. And though I achieved many good things, it was actually exhausting being me. And life didn't feel that good, even though it was good. It wasn't enjoyable. Ultimately, this led me to a complete mental breakdown in my mid-30s. And that was followed by a dedicated period of self-reflection and research on how I might be able to change myself. At that time, I was an engineer. And though I could design, troubleshoot, improve production systems, I had never considered that my brain and body were a set of internal systems where inputs and outputs needed to be balanced and configured and optimized for the environment I lived in and for my physical and emotional needs in each particular situation. strangely, it had never occurred to me that I could consciously reprogram myself, or I could adapt my behaviors, I could adapt my thoughts and my internal chemistry to optimize myself. Somehow I had kept the mindset of poor me. Well, this is just how I am. But I found out that that was wrong. There is much you can change. A, if you want to, and B, if somebody can show you what to do. So for the next few years, I dedicated myself to researching and testing on myself every concept that I could find on how thoughts and emotions functioned. And that way I could honestly say, I tried that and it worked, rather than listening to the guesses of my old brain, which would often say, oh, there's no point trying that because you know it won't work. Therefore, over those years, I gained an empirical database, a real world tested set of results and knowledge on myself, about myself. And what I learned blew me away, because what I learned was not what I'd been taught in school, nor did it reflect what I was reading in medical journals. Now, I'm happy to share that I no longer experience mental health problems. My anger has gone, my anxiety is gone, my OCD is gone, and my depression is gone. And for the most part, I feel calm, peaceful, and relatively happy. Of course, I still have good days and bad days, and I may still do silly things. But overall, I feel content with who I am, and I like myself. However, who I am now is so modified and so different to who I was back then. So I know that change is possible. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy at all. But was it worth it? Yes, absolutely. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, the first lesson I learned, which none of my doctors ever told me, was that you can't recover from anxiety or depression and remain the same person. And this is because it's usually the original act of being you which caused them in the first place. Worried people get very worried and tired. Negative people become pessimistic and doubtful. Lonely people end up feeling detached and alone. These things are kind of obvious, really, but nobody seems to talk or think in these very simplistic terms. So I'm going to teach you everything I learned as I renewed all aspects of myself, as I retrained myself to become the type of person whose negative, exhausting, fearful, doubtful and self-sabotaging thoughts and behaviors would struggle to get any attention, would struggle to get any energy, or would struggle to get any traction within this new me. And what I discovered was both simple and complex at the same time. The fact that you can reprogram your thoughts, you can change your beliefs, you can adjust the story of your own identity. And it's possible to re-engineer your inner chemistry to release chemicals that make you feel good rather than the ones that stress and exhaust your body. And as you change, you can keep the aspects of yourself that you like and that serve you well. You can let go of the stories that don't serve you well, and then you can add in any new elements that can enhance your own experience of being this new self. I'll teach you how you can learn to be kind to yourself, how to stand up for yourself, find your voice, and how to take more responsibility for the outcomes in your life, despite what your brain is thinking and despite how your body is feeling. I'm going to ask you to trust the knowledge that I've acquired from 25 years of study and from over 20,000 hours of delivering therapy to anxious professionals, and my different but unique brain, which can see patterns in information that can join the dots, that very often reveal new perspectives that many other researchers and therapists, I think, seem to miss. So my objective for this course is for you to be able to answer the question, over and above what the medical world is currently doing for me with medicine and therapy, and despite whatever genetic card nature dealt me with, am I doing everything I possibly can to improve myself, for myself, towards a calmer, more productive and more happy life? Now, the biggest surprise I had as I moved from being an engineer to a therapist was just how many regular and high-functioning people experience anxiety, OCD and depression. They were typically intelligent. They seemed to have complex personalities. Certainly they were overthinkers. They were creative. They cared what people thought of them. You might say sort of people pleasers. They feared rejection. Okay? But underneath all of that, they were also quite dominant and controlling, even if they weren't directly aware of that within their nature. It was almost as if anxiety was the natural condition that emerged within this type of individual after becoming exhausted from certain life experiences or from thinking, worrying and trying to control things too much. And you'll hear me say this again and again. It's not possible to think your way out of anxiety or depression because they are the biological symptoms of thinking and worrying too much. Therefore, I will be teaching you many ways to quieten your mind, or at least to change any of your old out-of-date stories. Okay? This is a big part of the journey of recovery, is to reprogram your unconscious to see life differently, to talk to you differently, to break those old programs that are just looping around and around. Now, my style of working is very metaphorical. Everything I teach you is not necessarily the truth, but it points to the truth. I will use metaphors or stories whereby your mind can say, yeah, I can see what he's trying to say. For example, it's true that I can drive my car, but the truth is I don't really know how I actually drive my car. My hands and my feet just do it automatically. They just respond to all the events that happen around me. And mostly I'm just looking out of the window or listening to the radio. I would like you to allow me to exaggerate, to embellish. I'd like you to allow me to contradict myself, to show you how the mind works, and to prove to you how simplistic and how flawed our brains actually are, as well as how magnificent they are. And I would also like to demonstrate to you that who we are, and if we try to analyze everything intellectually and logically, we're going to run into problems because we're not that logical at all. Life does contradict itself. You can both love and hate a person at the same time. Your body can be hot while your hands are cold. You may be angry with a person, yet agree that they did the right thing. You may have many different perspectives on the same issue. Let me try and think of an example here. What if a lawyer was asked to represent an organization whose values they disagreed with? Okay? And despite that agreement, they continued to support that company just to keep their job. But at the same time, they may be retraining because they dislike their job but need the money the position provides until their retraining is finished. And so many other things in life don't make sense either. Love is not rational or logical. Music, poetry, art, these are things that we just enjoy. And on different days we might not enjoy them, okay? Life is very contradictory. Humans are very contradictory. And if you're going to let go of the control of anxiety and OCD, you've got to realize that we can just let this dance of life happen around us without us having to control it so directly. Just think about depression, OCD and anxiety. They're all completely contradictory. I feel low, so I can't be bothered to exercise, even though I know exercise will chemically lift my mood. It's contradictory. I know it's stupid not to trust that the door is locked when I've already checked it 5 times, yet I'll just check it another 5 times. It's contradictory. I know my mind can't really predict the future, yet my brain tells me that if I don't act in this certain way, X, Y, Z might happen to that person. So the key to gaining emotional control is to understand how your brain and body really work, so you can retrain or ignore your thoughts and feelings. And there are distinct stages to this course. Firstly, I'll be teaching you with what you're dealing with, what anxiety, depression and OCD truly are, how our emotions and our thoughts work, and then I'll teach you how to interrupt these unwanted thoughts, how to calm down these overwhelming feelings and desensitize the body. Yeah? I will teach you how to manage fear and to find more calmness in any moment, which will allow you to start making more decisions in your life. Thirdly, and probably most importantly, I'll show you how to engage with life in new ways, how to see yourself differently, and how to recognize and update any values and beliefs that may have been programmed into you during childhood that may not be serving you well as an adult. We then look at removing any childhood trauma from your body, and we explore what you might need to do to adjust your life, to adjust your work, and to adjust your relationships so they can all be the best that they can be. And then finally, we explore the fundamental questions of who do I wish to become and what do I wish to do with my life? And these questions, although difficult to contemplate, are crucial for anyone who's looking to expand their life in the right direction. To begin this process and to make sure that we are aligned, let me classify a few terms. By anxiety, I mean unwanted, fearful emotions and thoughts that overwhelm you or stress you. I will be arguing that, in fact, what you're having may be the right emotion, but at the wrong time and the wrong intensity. So, for example, if you were standing on the edge of a cliff, those emotions might be okay. But if you have those emotions while standing in the middle of the grocery store, they're not. So it's not actually the emotion that's wrong. That's just what your body does. It's your interpretation of what's happening, and it's you being triggered at the wrong time in the wrong environments. And these can all be adjusted. By OCD, I mean habits that you feel compelled to perform, thoughts or mental routines that need to be carried out in your mind, and for some, horrible intrusive thoughts that cause you to really fear what you may do or what you may have done. By depression, I mean a lack of energy, a lack of motivation, and a lack of desire to engage with life, a lack of intentions, a numbness that makes you feel stuck, lost, and alone. By consciousness, I mean thoughts or ideas that you seemingly can control. And by subconscious, I'm referring to the thoughts and ideas and behaviors that involuntarily just happen to you, thoughts that just arise unrequested in your mind. Some people relate to the subconscious as the unconscious. Please allow me just to jump between either label, conscious, subconscious, it doesn't matter. And remember, this whole process is about letting go of perceived control, letting go of pedantic behaviors, and letting go of the feeling that you have to be right. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Well, this process is about being happy. Therefore, from this new perspective, being right takes on a whole new meaning. What thoughts or actions at this moment are the right ones for my happiness in this moment? So I would recommend that you watch each video a few times, because even though you may understand intellectually what I'm describing, your unconscious brain may need to be exposed to the information a few times before it registers that new information. Now, after this free introduction, I'm aiming for my videos to be between 30 and 50 minutes long, as I'm going to dive deeply into the details to show you how to change yourself on so many different levels. Now, I know these longer videos fly in the face of our rapid YouTube consumption world where people's attention span is only 3 minutes or so. But I believe this is one of the reasons that anxiety is so prevalent, especially amongst our younger people. They are looking for quick solutions through partial information rather than spending the time to gain a deep understanding of how we really function and taking more responsibility for our wellness. Also, by making the time to watch longer videos, you are essentially setting aside time from your busy life or your various distractions, and this dedicated time will be part of you, the essential element of you recharging your biology and regaining your emotional energy. Everybody with depression or anxiety or OCD is exhausted. And this exhaustion causes so many of the underlying problems, and we need to recharge them, and we need to make the space for that recharge to become possible. I've cleverly constructed each video in such a way that all you really need to do is sit back and watch it a few times, and it will sink safely into your conscious and into your subconscious brain. And remember, just because you consciously understand the concept, it doesn't mean that your unconscious understands it either. Your conscious mind and your unconscious mind are on two completely separate systems. And this is really important, okay? All of our anxiety, phobias, addictions, and bad behaviors are hardwired subconsciously. They just happen, they just fire off, regardless of what we're consciously thinking or knowing. You can consciously know sugar is bad for you, and you can consciously knowingly accept that you're on a diet, and then there you are, subconsciously, with your nose in the fridge. Therefore, to consciously know something is almost irrelevant, but to rewire the unconscious brain is everything. And this is why intelligent individuals experience anxiety and OCD. They're so engrossed in all the intricacies of the software up here, you might say their thoughts and understanding everything, that they neglect to update the underlying operating system. So the way we rewire the subconscious mind is to disregard the conscious mind and all its logical gatekeepers who say things like, well, you already know this, or this is boring, or what's this got to do with anxiety, or this video is too long. We need to get behind those, okay, and retrain our subconscious mind through repetition, through multi-sense activation, through deceptive imagery, and a raft of sneaky conscious psychological tools that we can apply to our unconscious mind to get the change we wish. It's what marketing people have been doing to you with TV commercials for years. Repetition, imagery, and emotional anchoring, they are vital in your conscious reprogramming of your unconscious mind. And even if your conscious mind already thinks it knows everything, it doesn't mean that your unconscious mind does. Now, for some people who have done a lot of self-reflection, many of my concepts may be familiar. However, I would earnestly ask you to still pay attention, because I will be bringing in subtle twists and perspectives that may surprise you. Apply yourself, keep an open mind, and allow me to show you a new way through. Now, in the next video, we will dig deeper into understanding what anxiety and OCD really are, and we will begin the journey of you consciously retraining your unconscious mind and then subsequently your body for more calmness. The course has over 60 videos, guided meditations, workbooks, reading referrals, plus I answer any question that you want to ask within the system, all for a monthly price equivalent to a coffee and a slice of cake. You can exit anytime, and if you're not happy, I'll refund your first month's payment with absolutely no questions asked. Thousands of people have gone through this course, and the results for those who have applied themselves have been exceptional. There's a link in the description below for you to sign up securely on my Patreon site, where I will help you to help yourself to find more calmness, more self-esteem, and more direction for your life. And one last thought. If you are supporting a person with anxiety and they resist working on helping themselves, you may benefit from taking this course yourself, as it will teach you how to better care for them and perhaps inspire them into taking more responsibility for their own recovery. Okay, thanks for listening. Hit the subscribe button below and let's get started. Really, you've got nothing to lose except your anxiety. Thanks a lot.